So now we move on to our next panel, which is Retail Reimagined, Leveraging the Phygital Experience, in which the session will be moderated by Mr. Pankaj Ranjan, Chief Operating Officer and Managing Director, ANAROCK Retail. Mr. Pankaj Ranjan brings to the table over 22 years of experience in advising leading corporates, so retail and office occupiers, investors, and developers across India on their real estate strategies. We have been joined by Pushpa Bector. Ms. Pushpa Bector is the Executive Director, DLF Retail. Ms. Bector is a veteran in retail and has been instrumental in shaping the Indian retail industry with around 28 years of impeccable track record of sustained growth, with multiple awards to her credit, like ET Now Women Super Achievers in the shopping mall sector, the most recent one. She is currently a prominent member of CII National Committee of Retail and PhD Chamber of Commerce, Chairperson of Retail. We are also joined by Mr. Mukesh Kumar, Chairman of SCAI and Chief Executive Officer of Infinity Malls, with almost 30 years of rich experience across the retail and hospitality business. Mr. Kumar owns, as CEO of K. Raheja Constructions owned Infinity Mall. He is leading both the malls into an admirable retail model. Before Infinity Mall, Mr. Mukesh Kumar was mentoring Ramada Plaza Palm Grove. We are also joined by Mr. Pramod Arora, who's the Chief Growth and Strategy Officer of PVR India. He has a career spanning across retail, commercial, and industrial real estate and entertainment for more than 25 plus years. Mr. Yogesh Sharma, the Executive Director, Select City Walk, is also with us today. Mr. Sharma has successfully led the country's most admired shopping center, Select City Walk, and has been with the organization for 15 eventful years since its inception. He has been responsible for various functions for Select City Walk, starting from leasing, operations, and now management of the shopping center. So a very warm welcome to all the panelists and the moderator, Mr. Pankaj Ranjan. I will request you to please take over the session.
Thank you very much, Pushkar. Really appreciate the introduction for all the panelists and myself. Welcome, Mukesh, Pushpa, Yogeshwar. I understand Pramod is just joining us in a minute. Rajneesh was supposed to join us. He sends us regrets because he had some family medical emergency. But it's a electrical panel, the most well-experienced panel from the shopping center industry, I think we have between Pushpa, Mukesh, and Yogesh. And I'm sure your thoughts, the audience will be really excited to know what's happening on the retail business. How is digitization taking over the retail business? What's the landscape looks like in the next couple of years? What are you seeing as industry professionals, which you can share with the rest of the industry? Let me start with Pushpa. Pushpa, I remember this is about, I think, 4 years back at one of the retail conferences when you announced some big plans on the investing in the digital side as DLF on the retail. So what's been the, I keep reading about it, but it's also good to hear from you what you've been doing, and as DLF particularly, because you've been in the forefront of investing on the digital side, particularly on the retail business. What's been happening? What's the landscape like? Have you changed your strategy somewhere, whether because of pandemic, whether it's also because the push which happened in the digital side, if there's a lot more foray? We never heard about 10 minutes home delivery for grocery a couple of years back, and suddenly you have 10 minutes home delivery. And I can always share with everybody is that I've experienced it. I remember, I just wanted to share that we wanted to have ketchup. One of my kids wanted to have ketchup and on the dinner table, and realized it was over. And we put it in one of the apps, and it was there on our dining table in 9 minutes, which is phenomenal. So what's been the sudden change which is happening because of all this on the digital side, and how shopping centers getting up to it?
Thanks, Pankaj. It's nice to be amongst friends and talking again about resurgence and good things other than saying how many malls are shut, etc. So what I would like to tell you is that we started the digital journey around 2-3 years back. And we started this journey through a unified app called Lookout. Now, the Lookout app actually gives a sneak peek of, the whole idea of Lookout is how do we reach out to customers directly and how do we keep them engaged? That was the main thought of it. Not to enter e-commerce. We We, as DLF and as all real estate players, we are strong believers in the brick and mortar space. Lookout as an app is only an enabler to improve the experience in a digital manner to the consumer, plan their shopping better. So through the unified app, what are we trying to do? We have got, if a customer wants to go to any property, at a glance, they are able to see what's happening, what's in style, what are the new collections that are there, and we indoor also navigation, etc., something that we will again invest in further now, so that a person can just get ease of parking within that space. So really the technology bit of it to us is enabling the consumer experience. The second aspect that I'd like to emphasize on is that we started in beacons across our property, so that we are heat mapping and analyzing where the customers are coming from, what is their shopping journey, what are the different stores that are more popular, and where do the stickiness rest within the shopping mall. That is another element that we have invested in. In fact, that investment this year will get further enhanced. That's a very interesting thing to do, actually, because it gives a very good understanding of the strength of the brands. We don't have enough data to say, other than just sales per square foot, to say how much of retention power is there by each brand and how many stores do customers typically travel. You'll be amazed to know, Pankaj, after doing that and after understanding the heat mapping, a customer goes to Mall of India, which is a 2 million square feet mall. A customer goes to Promenade, which is almost a 500,000 square feet mall. Their retention is not more than 5 to 6 stores. They just can't shop beyond it. That's the max. After 6 stores or 7 stores, they are not able to, their fatigue value reaches at the 7th store. So the average number of stores that a customer visits happens to be 7. And that has helped us greatly to understand sizing of our malls in future. Because it's all right to have these mega properties. Mall of India is working for us because it's a tight mall within that particular setup. So each floor is not humongous like a Dubai mall is. And that's why it's working for us. But it really helped us in understanding what are the sizing of properties. Do we need to go overboard on it? What's the fatigue value of consumers? What's the stickiness of consumer journey, etc., etc. So for us, digitization is not e-commerce. Digitization is understanding shopper journey and improving their shopping experiences. Furthermore, on Lookout, this year we plan to enhance it by having more value-added services, but not e-commerce. Even during the pandemic, we tried to do click and collect, etc. It didn't work. That won't work really, because customers want to come to a property, they want to experience it. So all the digitization efforts, so far in our opinion, and I stand to be corrected if not, is to do with really enhancing consumer journey, not getting into the e-commerce space, because there are enough players.
So, very interesting, Pushpa, you mentioned, and, this is a couple of years, and I'm sure Mukesh and Yogesh will add to it as well, is, a couple of years back, the debates will always is saying, does the shopping mall become another browsing place for retailers? And, we invest in, there was even a talk, because when I was running a shopping center business and we were exploring and saying, do the shopping center itself become a hyper-local delivery model? And, I think over the last 3-4 years, and I second your thoughts, and I really, what you're selling is reinforcing a lot of the commitment, what we're seeing by what retailers also tell us and other shopping mall owners and managers tell us, is that the customer who comes to a shopping center is really coming for the experience of being physically involved in the activity of shopping, because he wants to come and browse in the others. But a very important point, which you mentioned about that the customer's journey is fatigued within 5 or 6 stores. So, Pushpa, what happens after the 5 and 6 stores? Does the customer lose interest, or he just continues to browse around, or he just goes to an F&B outlet and the journeys times are reducing to a lesser time? Is the earlier dwell times are like 3-4 hours? Now is it coming down?
So the dwell time, as we see today, is not, even in a Mall of India, is not beyond 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours is how much we can retain a customer. Now, if a customer comes in for a movie, the customer's going for an F&B hangout before or after. If the customer's coming in for shopping, the customer goes to mostly restaurants or cafes and then moves out. So after the sixth store, they are heading directly to an F&B spot. So it's very, very clear. And the division, the cusp is F&B definitely, but it's not as if every customer is going in for, you know, an F&B experience. So I think what's important is that the kind of analysis that we do, it's not going to be the only answer, but it gives us consumer journey, and it also gives us an understanding of the strength of the brands. So we keep talking about the big guys. They have to exhibit by retaining customers that much more in their store. So if they are retaining that kind of customer base, then we know that the conversions can take place. So these are the interesting analytics that we should get into. And we should really, in my opinion, go more towards loyalty linked, analytics linked, customer journey linked digitization. That will help the customers feel that they are in a smart mall. What prevents us today that we are able to create this customer journey and convert the journey into something exciting for him at the end of the fifth store and extend him to another 3 more stores? We are not doing that. No, that's a digitization effort that we should all do.
But tell me, I mean, lots of ideas, and Pushpa, and I know you wanted to do these and the others, but tell me, is the ecosystem of support in terms of IT infrastructure and vendors and partners available who are willing to create this? And is it a viable investment? Because, IT, sounds good to invest in, and digitization and all the other efforts sounds good to invest in. And I don't want to talk about digital companies' IPOs recently and the loss of valuations. And probably if that's some indicator to know that and I was talking to somebody who's running a very large multi-billion-dollar corporate, and he was a CEO and yesterday, and he's saying, Pankaj, my company's valuation is less than one of these big startups who's got listed, and whereas I generate hard cash of $1 billion every year. He says I generate $1 billion of cash every year, which is hard cash, and he's not talking about profit. He's saying hard cash. But so because digital companies take a long digitization and these kind of efforts take a long time. Obviously, they're generational changes. They're changing the way we operate, and the other Amazons and the other world have changed behaviors, right, of people. But from an operating business perspective, is there a viability to invest so much, and are there partners and vendors available to invest for you alongside?
So now that's a very interesting and engaging question. I'm sure everyone here is facing that. If it's expensive, then it doesn't make sense. There has to be an ROI to what we invest in digitally, right? Because the customer who's coming to us has already decided that she or he wants to be in the physical space. They just want it to be a pleasurable experience, and a ease of shopping should be enhanced. That's their expectation. So I do believe that some of the digital companies, the vendors are there. If they are startups, it's not proven. Hence, there is a risk in putting that across. And the larger companies are exorbitant. And we are not able to really go ahead and invest in the kind of technology that we would because of the cost, that they quote. So that's something that one is hoping that they come down to Mother Earth and sort of start transacting business, because there is business from our side too, provided it is viable for us. And Pankaj, regarding valuation, that's a whole different webinar, and it should actually be over a drink that I'm sure we can exchange our thoughts on what is all these viability, the valuation game all about. We don't know. But all we know is that at the end of the day, the mall business functions on two parameters, that is hardcore revenue generation and hardcore profitability, which we deliver quarter on quarter. So our ability to sort of get into a very large digital program, which possibly will have a great valuation, is a pie in the sky at this point. I don't think we can start in that journey unless the CTO becomes the CEO.
Okay. So, and very interesting, Pushpan. I want to pick up Yogeshwar on this. Yogeshwar, one of the most admired shopping centers, Select has always been looked at as a benchmark in terms of performance across all these years since it's been operational. And I think it got operational in 2007, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
October.
2007, 2007 October until now, it's always looked at as a benchmark in terms of performance, not only in terms of performance, in terms of numbers, but in terms of performance of, in terms of all aspects of benchmark in terms of retail, the shopping centers. And I remember Yogeshwar, Select, couple of years back, you had invested in a loyalty program. You've been in forefront of, reaching out to customers. Pushpa has talked about Lookout and, saying driving customer engagement. Lookout is really and it's a customer engagement for them because they want to keep connecting to the customer. And today customers are all on their phones, iPads, mobile, on all digital sources. But what limits you to invest more? Or do you think, is there a space lot more available today to invest? Or where Pushpa said, listen, ultimately it's all about making money and profitability. Growth is important and investment, but investment has to be justified. But from your perspective, being at the forefront of the shopping center business, how are you looking at on the digital side for your shopping center?
Thanks, Pankaj. I agree with Pushpa that we are like brick and mortar platforms, and we are doing extremely well year on year. We have been delivering, and these thoughts have been crossing our minds for many years, like 7-8 years. I clearly remember that we made a plan that how can we also start selling online or omni channel. So you create budget of X amount, and then you revise it to 10x, and then still you have to keep changing because we don't understand technology to that extent. So we have to be dependent. And if you see all these online companies, they are basically technological companies trying to do the business. On our side, it's the other way around, that we are very low on technology. As a brick and mortar, we want people to come to the mall. However, nothing stops us from using technology to the extent to make better decisions. So we also did 7-8 pilots, how to sell more. The objective remains the same, how to sell more from the same space. Again and again and again, the frequency has to be increased, the value has to be increased, and the dwell time has to be longer so that people are able to spend. And last 2 years, everybody has gone through a rough patch. But looking at the recovery, especially after second wave and now after third wave, whatever happened in January, the recovery is very good, and we are very positive that this will continue for many years to come. Only one situation which will emerge is metaverse. I am hearing a lot about metaverse, and one of the functions which it will be impacting retail. Retail comes up again on a high upper side of the list, that retail will also be get influenced to some extent. So we have to see. It is still some years away. It's not that it's going to be immediate. I agree. In short point, technology has to be used. Now it is available. And on the loyalty front, we all malls struggle to have a robust loyalty program. But last 6 months, we have invested not in terms of money, more on the effort side, to make those IT guys understand what we really want. Because mall, in a way, generally doesn't sell much. How do we reward customer as a mall? So we have to be dependent on the retailers. So their collaboration is very important, and it has to be less human intervention. That's the objective, that nobody wants to get into a queue to get a rewards point and then redeem those points and not liking those points. And we want to eliminate that process. So our team, like market team, has invested like last 6 months, and on almost like weekly basis, we are having meetings how to make a robust loyalty program. And the beta version is available now. Soon we'll be going forward. So the point is that technology is helping us in some way. Like we started with Park Plus Day. Now there's no queue at the exit of the parking. With the FASTag takes care of the money, parking fee. So the stoppage time is less. So there are many ways we can use technology. We are trying to use. Again, as Pushpa mentioned, either the cost is too high if you go to the bigger players, or the effort is too high. If you take up a new startup, then you have to make them really aware of what you really want. And on the effort side, it is a lot of time involved.
Yogeshwar, Pushpa mentioned that, the whole idea of Lookout was all about experience, about creating a customer journey, mapping it out in terms of with beacons, in terms of which are the hotspots, which are the others.
Yeah.
And I remember even Select having done something as well, something like that, investing and mapping out the customer journey. Where is he entering from? Where is he going? How is he navigating the center? And give you data. Tell me, all this data, people like your DLF, like from Pushpa and her team, yourself, and I'm sure Mukesh and all the others, all of you are collecting this data, and you decipher this data.
Yeah.
How is it? How acceptable are retailers to use this data from you, or willing to listen to you and use this data more effectively? Is it only helping you as a shopping mall owner to making your decisions better, or are you able to use it with your partners to justify and saying, listen, I know this space, for example, and maybe I come from a lot more on the leasing side at sometimes, and I always look at that time, because currently wear that hat, having run operations in the past, is in saying the proximity of the access to this store is better, because it gets a lot more people coming in and out, or the dwell time on this location is more, so I can able to give you a better viability, or this store is ideally meant for something which is more impulse, whereas somebody said, listen, I'm ready to pay, I'm not impulse, but I'm happy to pay you top more dollar for this space location. But they don't understand the reasoning and saying, listen, no, I don't understand your logic. I'm happy to pay for you and you get in, or I don't understand your logic of putting this brand and not that brand. Are your partners and are you using the industry also getting influenced by your data and allowing you to use this more judiciously?
Yeah, the first benefit, which is the most important benefit, is that helps us to understand our shopping center better. I mean, we know generally that which entrance is better, which people take which entrance, and how many people are coming from which lobby, left lobby. So we like as a mall developer, we have some sense which is like 90% correct or 85% correct. But then when you have backed it by data, then it definitely gives you confidence that what we are talking is based upon some numbers and some rationale, and there's a logic behind it. Now, second step, so it is very useful to say that. However, like in our kind of mall, which is not very large mall, so it is manually also possible. I mean, when you look around the mall, you see the shopping and the sales of the stores, have some idea that what stores are selling better, what stores are not selling better. So we have idea. But if you have a bigger mall, then definitely this tool is very, very, it becomes critical to sell. Second point is that retailers also appreciate this effort, that if we share with them, supposing we have a very live situation that there's somebody wants to take a spot and we are pushing them on one side of the mall, and they are asking for the other side of the mall. Now we have our reasons, because we want that, okay, maybe this is this entrance or this side has more footfall, and these have brands of similar genre, so you come on this side of the mall. Whereas the other person, like the retailer, feels that. But when it's backed by some data, then it makes the conversation much more interesting and more dependable decision. However, retailers many times have preconceived, very, very clear thought that they want to be that side on because of their logic, not understanding mall's logic, but it helps. Lastly, how do we make it commercially benefit is a struggle we have within our teams. For example, if we know the customer journey, for example, just for the sake of example, I take a lady comes first to brand A and then goes to brand B and then goes to the grocery store at Modern Bazaar. Now, knowing this is very useful, but as a neutral platform, I don't want to interfere in her journey of going to when she's planning to go to A and then interfering not to going to B and give her some incentive to go to C. Though this is a very good marketing tool to introduce a brand or to introduce an offer, but somewhere brand B will not like it, because brand B would come to know that we are trying to interfere into the customer journey of that brand. So this has to be done very, very wisely and in a very, very responsible manner, so that we are not playing a big boy between the brands. Because once we have laid out the brands, then let the consumer decide where they want to. We can inform them about the brand availability or a new range being launched by another brand and all that, but we should not be too intrusive. That's my personal view on this. Lastly, one experience which is very, very interesting, I would like to share with all of you, is that delivery service. In COVID 2, second, third, we started this delivery service, and we felt that maybe during COVID, people don't want to come to the mall, so they are using this delivery service and they want the things to be delivered at home. But this trend is continuing to grow month on month, and it's not a very large number in terms of sales, roughly 50 orders a day. But we are getting closer to the consumer in that sense, because we know the person's preferences, how they live, where they live, and what's the contact data. I mean, we have some data, and we have some, the consumer has some loyalty towards the mall concierge desk, because they want delivery to be done on a time and all that. So they start interacting, and then the job of the salesperson is to upsell. For example, somebody's asking for something, and you say, okay, would you like to try this also? This is also available. Personal shopper comes into picture. So it is really I see the roots. I mean, it can grow into a different SBU within the shopping center.
Yeah, and very interesting. And I'm going to come to you, Mukesh. When you typically go and live in typically in a very top-notch hotel, which is known for its services, there the concierge plays a big role. And here we are talking about the concierge in a shopping center also kind of slowly playing a role in the customer's journey. Pushpa talked about bringing that experience to the home of the customer through an app. Yogeshwar talked about and saying the concierge is directly interacting when you place a direct order. Some part of it is digital, some part is physical, part of it is, I mean, I'm sure they work closely with each other. But beyond the front side of the experience of the customer in terms of investing in digital, tell me, is there operationally effectiveness, which is data or technology, which you're able to use in the shopping center? Because I know you run two prime assets in two prime suburbs of Mumbai. Are you seeing shopping centers adopting technology and investing beyond the customer frontline experience, and also something in the back end, which makes your business more successful in terms of probably make it more efficient, driving profitability, or customer journey becoming better? Sorry, Mukesh, you're on mute.
Right. Because there are two, three areas where this plays a very, very important role. One is about getting a customer data from the store itself. When you're getting this data from the store, then you know what kind of sale they are doing, what kind of business they are generating, and what kind of categories being sold. So that data is very important, which comes from the store. So digital plays a very, very important role. So what we have done, we have connected their point of sale with our servers wherever it is possible. Wherever it is possible, we have done that. We're able to get their sale. So we know exactly which category is selling well, what is the demand for a particular category. Wherever the brand needs to support in case the sale is not very good. Maybe the location is an issue, maybe the merchandise is an issue, maybe a staff is an issue. We are able to evaluate all of them, and when you have a business review meeting with them, we're able to tell them. So we can pinpoint that this particular category is not selling, and this particular brand is not doing it because of following issues. So that's a very great insight what we get from getting all this data. Number two is the marketing point of view. I mean, there was a time we used to market only through print media, which is completely changed now. I think our total spend on marketing is almost 70% of digital media today and 30% of print media. You're able to understand what kind of customers are coming, what is your demand, what should be selling more, where there's a demand, where this is lacking in terms of sales. So can you really target those areas, target those brands, and target those particular audience so they can get into the mall. So our spend is very focused today for each of when you do an event, a promotion, or targeting a particular category, you're giving us this data. Number three, about loyalty, what Yogesh was talking about, the loyalty question. We have been working very hard on this loyalty as well. That's again something which is very important for any mall. Why would somebody come to your mall in case you're not able to reward them for anything? So this again, we have been working for many years. Somehow is not giving us the results, but we have been working very hard to get that. Getting them loyalty point right at the point of sale. The moment you do a transaction, you get a loyalty point in your wallet immediately, and you know where to redeem. So you can earn your points right at the point of sale, and also burn your points right at the point of sale, the way it is in the hotel or the airlines. You don't really have to go to any particular customer service there to earn your points. So these things have been working very, very hard, because I know this is going to make a big difference. Number four, you're talking about a customer point of view also. Okay, it may not be a back of the house thing. But a customer coming to the mall, he wants to come. We must understand that most of our customers, they are almost 70-80% are repeat customers. So it's the same 80-20 equation. So 80% people are basically repeat customers coming to the mall. If you take care of them, you understand their interests, their likes and dislikes, it's very easy to serve them. So today, consumer experience is not about the physical, it's also about the digital experience. So what we're trying to do is that can we tie with the retailers that a customer before coming to the mall blocks a particular product and comes to the mall to pick up that, and assuming that when he comes to pick up product, he also buys some other product. As Pushpa was saying, customers, they come go to 5-6 stores. Absolutely right. When you have a larger mall, once they come to go to 5-6 stores today, and maybe after 1 week when he comes next time, he'll go to another 5-6 stores. So that's the journey happens. In first week, he comes to 6 stores again. Next week, he goes to another 6 stores. So that the shopping gets completed, the entire experience gets completed. It also is, now we also have data about the parking. People come and park the car. We also have the data. What kind of cars are coming? What kind of customers are coming? What is the profile? 2-wheeler, 4-wheeler, what kind of cars? We have all this data which we utilize when we do a promotion for the mall, the marketing, what we do, the event, what we do in the mall. All this data coming in very, very handy to promote digitally.
Sorry. And what about operational operations? Is there a systems and technologies which is able to help you to invest in any systems and technology which helps you run your operations more effectively today?
See, most of the thing what we do in the mall, everything is digital. There's nothing, whether you want to place an order, you want to place if somebody wants to complain to maintenance department, operation department, nobody has to go anywhere. There's an app. You want to complain to our customer service or the housekeeping or maintenance from the retailer point of view, they can complain. A customer wants to give a feedback to the response, he goes to our kiosk and gives the response to us. It reaches us directly, able to track and we're able to reach out to them. Anything that happens, everything is digital. There's nothing, there's absolutely no manual intervention in that. Anything happens digitally.
So, you mentioned an important point, Mukesh, in saying that today, at one time, there were used to be these huge print ads of which any big festival or sales used to start, or a promotion which the malls used to be doing, and they used to put a full page or a prominent advertisement in the national dailies. I'm seeing still. I'm not saying that I'm not seeing still, and you mentioned you although reduced that. Now it's 70% is digital and 30% is print. I have also noticed it as a consumer also that the number of print ads have gone down substantially. It's only very strategically when it's a big festival and you want something which is very a large announcement which you need to. But a lot more when I follow your Insta handles of all the key prominent shopping centers, I see a lot of content being made which is designed for customers. So tell me, has an overall marketing budget spent gone down because of using digital, or overall marketing budget gone up because of digital, using more digital?
It's not gone down, it's gone up. In fact, you're spending more money on marketing today because it's not just one media. You possibly can't ignore that print media at all. It continues to be there. When you say 70-30, let's say you spend 5 crores, it's gone to 7 crores. So what you have done is kept the print media, maybe reduced a bit, but you've increased your spend on the digital media. So marketing cost is not come down. Today, we want to reach out to the customer. Today, it's not just about selling a product. You also have to influence the customer to come to your mall. Today, it's very important to induce people to come to the mall. So these are some of the tools what we have. Whether it's through print media or through your digital media, we have reduced our spend mostly on outdoor media. That is reduced drastically. We're basically banking on digital media and the print media. It's not an expense of come down. It's gone up, but overall in terms of the total contest percentage, our digital spend has gone up very high.
Pushpa, if you're there around, I want to ask this to you. The biggest complaint, not complaint, I would say, the biggest challenge which retailers still talk about, and in the last 2 years specifically, is because of the pandemic. There is a huge rush by the retailers to go and expand and a footprint in the high street spaces, which is open format, whether it's high street, pure typical high streets, what we talk about, like the Connaught Places or Colabas of the world, or Khan Markets of the world, or in Mumbai, linking roads of the world, or could be, smaller centers in Powai and the others, or these are purpose-built open format shopping centers. And the one primary driving reason has been that the cost of operations to operate in a shopping center is very high. And I'm not talking about rentals, I'm talking about overall cost is because there's a huge amount of area which is kept as super area, which is common facilities which is made. There are 3 level, normally minimum 3 levels basement parking, sometimes even 4. There's a huge cost of manpower, security, because your public spaces, your requirement from a mandate from the government perspective is also very high, and obligation to the public is also very high. And, I mean, frankly speaking, going to a Khan market or going to a Kolaba, there is no security check, right? There is no security, right? You just go park on the road. Maybe there's a parking guy who helps you and charges you a 50 rupee or 100 rupee ticket, and that's the only thing which is that barrier which is there. Whereas in a shopping center, when you have to invest a lot in security, housekeeping, maintenance, maintaining all the public spaces, particularly the toilets, and making it absolute top notch. And all of you, and I've seen your shopping center, all of you do that and spend a lot. And having run that business also, there's a huge cost to it, and that's why the cost of operating a shopping center is very, very high. I know all the constant endeavor to profitability is also about it saying how do we increase consumption and increase the output of the shop retailer to make money. But also the other side of the endeavor is always there to saying how do we reduce cost. But beyond a point, you can't reduce cost. But tell me, is there any ways which technology can play to reduce cost, or have you been able to do it? And you talked about that the big box malls today may not be more relevant, and made a very specific point to that. Is that because cost of operations saying that smaller malls make more sense to operate and they're easier to maintain and cheaper to maintain?
Oh, I think, see, again, the rush towards high street shopping has been pandemic specific, right? We all agree that it's been because of the pandemic, people felt, let me go quickly in and out, and high street kind of meets that. However, the customer who's used to a mall will always prefer to shop in a mall because she or he sees the benefits of the mall to be more in alignment to her. So for example, there will be personal shopping, there will be hands-free. The services that you provide in a mall will draw a certain profile of customers. The second thing that I'd like to also tell you is that as far as costs are concerned, yes, we've also gotten across the board, all malls and all mall developers have been looking at efficiencies when it comes to common area maintenance, etc. And one of the biggest things that we are doing is how do we introduce technology there to reduce costs? Why should there be so many people in the basement in car parks here? You go to the US, there are hardly anyone, and the car parks are functioning perfectly well. So what will happen is that it will be a little bit of a symbiotic approach of customers will also change in their expectation that there shouldn't be like 100 people milling around looking after their needs. It would be more technology oriented. There will be self-checkouts. There would be, methods where not just parking, but in the food court and all those places, technology will be introduced. And I think that's one change that we are making and we should be continuing to make. But to say that, will that drastically reduce common area maintenance? Well, the infusion of technology also costs money. And I do think that the high street shopper who's just going in transactionally saying, I like to just step into a Fab India, pick up what I want and move out, is a different profile of shopper compared to that shopper who comes into Select City Walk and goes to the Fab India or Mall of India and goes to Fab India. So we have to understand the difference. The person who comes in here wants range, wants to browse, wants to experience 7 different stores at least before she decides on a purchase. High street, it's such a bother to do that. So I think what will happen is that there will be a division of the consumer base. There'll be few people who would go for high streets. There'll be few people who will go for the online shopping experience, but there'll be quite a few people who will still prefer the organized retail experience because especially in the urban centers, I don't blame the retailers for getting into the high street expansion spree because that way they were staying afloat, especially in tier 2, tier 3 cities. But in the big cities, the entire mall culture is so well embedded. I don't think we are out of it. And everyone sitting in this panel have seen customers. The moment Omicron wave came down, the footfall goes up. So I think, the entire experience that we offer of the best of F&B, best of retail, etc., will always be in good stead. But yes, do we have to reduce costs? Certainly. I think one of the biggest problems that we are facing is that we are unable to reduce energy cost. We keep talking about security, which are, we keep focusing on that. But in our common area maintenance, 42 to 45% of the cost is attributed to energy cost. What are we doing about it by getting that energy cost down? Why can't that be the focus? So I think we all need to think as Shopping Center Association of India also to look at that whole energy cost and see how can we effectively reduce it. What are the difference that can we make it all solar empaneled? Will that reduce the cost? What's the technology we can infuse there? We don't know. So I think that those are the areas to look at, not just the what is appealing to the eye,
So coming from cost, and I want to pick up Yogeshwar in it before because we've got 2-3 minutes.
I just want to add something here. Pankaj, I want to add something here. See, today, what happens is you go to hypermarket. When you want to do monthly shopping, go to hypermarket, you're shopping for the entire month or maybe 15 days. But you can have a small need, then you go to mom and pop shop. Let's say you want to buy a bread or eggs, something that is missing in the house. Maybe you have not bought it from the hyper, then you go and buy it from there. So what happens? Similar thing happens with the customer also. In case you want to spend the entire day, 2-3 hours, goes to mall, you've got multiple options. Somebody wants to buy just one particular product, which is a need based. You'll go to a shop and buy it from there, unless you're going to a zone like you're looking at Linking Road or Clubber. That's very limited. Today, the convenience that is given by the mall is really gives you so much benefit rather than going to high street. Your hygiene factor, your parking, your air conditioning, your washroom, it outweighs what you get from the high street. And retailers are going to the high street today not because they wanted to, because there's no space available in the mall. Good space is available in the mall at all. And number two, because of pandemic, they realized that they're opening earlier. But I think we have crossed that phase already.
Right. And that's a very important point. Mukesh, you mentioned, and Pushpa also mentioned, and Yogeshwar, just the last comment from you on this one. Sure. We talked about customer experiences. Pushpa talked about customer experiences. Mukesh talked about operational efficiency using digital technology. You guys are, as a shopping center, are sitting on such high quality data. You're sitting on getting 1 million people plus. Every average shopping center gets a good 1 million people a month. Now shopping preferences. You've mapped out the customer journey in terms of what typically, if this 5 stores the person visits, which are the 5 stores in which orderly fashion they buy. So if they're first buying a cosmetic, or they're first buying a garment store, or they're buying something in fashion, they automatically visit afterwards maybe a cosmetic store or a bag store or a shoe store. You're sitting in such high quality data, right? You have now contact details because all of you are running some kind of loyalty programs. Pushpa is running Lookout. You're running a loyalty program where you're doing concierge. Mukesh is running some kind of program, I know, where you have databases of this. So is there another optimum way of shopping centers monetizing this information to make revenue? Or are you already doing it, which we don't know about?
No.
Did you want to say the secret sauce with everybody? To tell us.
Give the mic how to do this.
Basically, thank you for having so much of confidence in us that we can sell that and have money, out of it. At the moment, no, that has no value in the sense we are not able to monetize it in any sense. Only thing is, we are not even able to use it effectively. That's the right answer. The plans are there that we know the customer preferences, what they are buying and all that, but how do we reach out to them again and again? So that is where the loyalty program and a professional, we try to learn from many other shopping centers, not only in India, around the world, but there is, we couldn't find a very, very, very good example where, maybe it's our bad luck. So data is there, but to make sense of the data and use it effectively, at least to sell more from the shopping center, that's the first endeavor, not to sell the data.
Perfect. No, great. And I think we're running out of time, and I really appreciate Yogeshwar, Pushpa, and Mukesh, your time and contribution. I think I just want to sum it up in saying that there is investment which is being done by each shopping center and in the brick and mortar business, but the digitization and investment in tech and digitization is to enhance the customer journey, make the operational effectiveness, and not becoming digital companies. So brick and mortar will always remain brick and mortar, and that's all about the customer experience, which is there. That's why they are continue to be in business and they're so sought after today. I mean, I can tell you in the pandemic, or what we talk about in saying another wave which came in, it's only reformed enforced the fact that the shopping centers come back in a much more significant way, because customers beyond a point like the touch, feel, and the other, and they don't want to get too influenced by it, by telling them what to buy and what not to buy. They want to come and experience the entire thing. I think the digital and the physical investment which will go into technology will always be to make that journey more efficient and better, and obviously to make the shopping center businesses much more efficient and resilient to drive profitability. Thank you so much, Pushpa, Mukesh, and Yogeshwar, for your time and comments, please. Thank you. Handing over back to you, CI.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you to all the panelists and Mr. Pankaj Ranjan for this very engaging conversation that we had with regards to retail reimagined.